Hi everyone, and welcome to Efficient Gaming and our coverage on The Witcher Monster Slayer. It's been a little while since I've had my last one out because I'm working on a couple of other projects that hopefully you'll get to see soon. But of course I'll still be continuing all my Witcher videos, and we've got still a lot of content to cover. So one of the things we're going to be looking at today is the shop and what I'm buying, so I'm just going to run you through that. So let's take a look. Okay, so we're going to have a first look at the shop. Now, if you were watching last week's video, you will have seen that when you've completed the second part of the quest, Thorstein actually joins you on your quest, and he will become your new shopkeeper. So we've actually got the option to chat with him, which we're just going to do now.
Like any self-respecting wanderer, I cherish those moments of reflection when it's just yourself on the road. But a man can only take so much. So, how long have you been a Witcher? Were you born that way?
No one is born a Witcher or of a Witcher. The mutations make us sterile.
Mutations? What mutations?
Enhanced vision, quickened reflexes, increased strength, immunity to disease and certain toxins.
Ah, so they're why you can take on those monsters?
It does help a lot, yes.
All right then. Or perhaps you'd like to hear about me? Me childhood? The merchant trade? The lovely Tullia? Me dreams and ambitions?
See, at this point it'd be funny to say no, but for the story we're going to continue. Know anything else about this scholar we're meeting?
So, I was born on Unskellig into Clan Tursuk on me mum's side, the Jarl's a fourth cousin thrice removed, and I became a merchant so I could earn a fortune and marry the loveliest lass around. Tullia's father won't give her to just anyone. Wise, if you ask me.
You talk quite a lot, but at least it's interesting.
While you barely talk at all. What a match we make. Hit me up for a chat from time to time, and if you run out of supplies, you can count on me for that too.
Thanks, Thorstein.
Hey, what's on our plate this fine day? Some purchasing perchance?
Okay, so he's now officially our shopkeeper, and we've had a bit of a chat with him, we've learned a bit more about him. So now we'll look at what equipment I've bought in the shop, and what I'm continuing to buy, and what I'm aiming towards to buy next. So if we go look in my character profile, the swords that I've got are the Witcher Steel Sword, which obviously is your starting sword. Literally says there, part of the starting inventory. The Manticore Steel Sword. Now, this is where my build differs from a lot of other people's builds out there. I've gone with the Manticore set for their cooldown reduction. So the Manticore Steel Sword is a steel sword that gives cooldown for casting signs by 20%. Obviously, I've also got the Silver Sword, which is a silver sword that reduces the cooldown for casting signs by 20%. Now, these items in the shop, in the equipment section, we've got steel swords, and that's our Manticore Steel Sword. Now, that is the same price as most of these other ones. You can't tell because I've already purchased it, but it is the 2,000 gold, the same as all of these other ones, except that one. That one's a bit more expensive. So that's my steel sword. My silver sword, obviously Manticore Silver Sword as well. Same price, 2,000, although there are often sales where it can be 10% off, and that is actually when I purchased both of my swords and my armor in the 10% off sales, because it saves you quite a bit of gold. Now my armor. I've got the Manticore armor, which again is actually really nice. That the set that I've picked actually all works really well together, and it's got the same name. So I've got the entire Manticore set, and that's what I use all the time. So this armor was purchased mainly to do Nemetons, because it gives you an automatic potion, which does fill a potion slot. That's important to note, because I didn't know whether it did or not when I first bought it, but it would be ridiculously overpowered if it didn't fill a potion slot. So it does fill a potion slot, so it automatically applies a white gold potion before each fight, which increases the effectiveness of other Witcher potions by 100%. So that I literally use every single time. The only other option is to wear the standard armor, and I don't know why you would do that when you've got that, because the standard armor does absolutely nothing. And I think this one looks a little bit cooler as well. So that applies a potion that increases any other potions by 100%. So if we just look at the other potions, and since we're focusing on the shop, I will look at all the potions that are in the shop. So for example, the Swallow Potion, which is health regeneration, that would be 2% of health regeneration every second with the White Gold Potion. Things like this one, which increases your maximum health by 50%, would increase it by 100%. So anything you do, Thunderbolt increases melee damage by 50, that would now be 100. It doubles that. Now that's been so helpful for killing the Nemeton that I just can't describe. It's just been so helpful. Now, that's my general kit. I'm going to also talk about the strategy behind that. So the cooldown reduction I've gone for works in conjunction with my main spell that I use, which is, let me get the name of it right this time, not that one, the Quen spell. So in conjunction with my cooldown reduction, that means I'm able to cast this spell a lot more often. This spell reduces the damage that I take while I don't have to parry, which pretty much makes the fight move a lot smoother. So if you look at some of my previous videos on battling Nemetons and battling monsters, you'll see that that's how I play. I cast this as often as possible and then I don't have to worry about defending when that happens. So the first item that I bought was actually the armor. Now that wasn't necessarily the best move for me, but what I was saving up gold, and by the time I saw one of the items that I wanted for sale in the shop, I had enough gold to buy the armor first. And the armor costs, let me just double check, but I'm pretty sure it's 5,000, but I bought it with 10% off. So it cost 4,500 gold. Obviously that's a big purchase, and I probably would have gotten the swords first if I had the chance, but this honestly was the biggest game changer for me in terms of fighting Nemetons. If I had the optimum experience, I probably would have bought the silver sword first, because I've already got a steel sword, silver sword, then the steel sword with the cooldown reduction, and then the armor. But again, the armor does really help in that 100 gold generation from each Nemeton, so it might be worth getting that first. Just depends on your playstyle, but this is how I am running my optimized setup. So I will also detail the most popular other build, which apparently is the most popular build because everyone I speak to on Discord seems to use this build. My build made most sense to me, but everyone else seems to use the other build. Now, I've looked at the way other people fight, and to be honest, it's not much different in terms of damage and killing things quickly. If anything, my build makes it a little bit easier because you don't have to have perfect timings on the parries to reduce all the damage. We're using the Quen spell to do that. So the other, I'm just going to remind myself, there we go, right. So the Wolven set is the set of swords that other people use most often. Now they use this in conjunction with the Ard spell. Now the Ard spell deals damage to the opponent, and it makes it take longer before the opponent can hit you again by 1 second. So the reason that this build works is because the steel sword and the silver sword, if you get the Wolven set, which is actually on sale today, accelerates the critical hit meter charging during melee combat. Now, every time you give something a critical hit with certain skills on, it also reduces the time it takes for them, sorry, not reduces, increases the time that it takes before the enemy will hit you next. So you've got the critical hits doing it, you've got your Ard spell doing it, and as well as that, if you interrupt an enemy while it's doing the animation to attack you, it will cancel that animation and reset the timer for, not completely, but back to a couple of seconds before it will attack you again. So if you can time things like creating, hitting, getting a critical hit when it's attacking you, and then the next time it goes to attack you, you can hit the spell button and cast your spell, which will also cancel its attack, and then delay its attack by another second using the Ard spell. Yes, Ard. That's the general strategy behind this. You don't take damage because you're constantly interrupting their attack animation. Whereas mine, you do take a bit of damage, but you don't take much damage, and you can just keep fighting without having to worry about perfectly timing the defense. So that's what I've purchased in terms of equipment. Now, ongoing. If you've watched my crafting video, you'll see how to craft all of the Witcher potions and Witcher oils. Now, in general, I like to keep a pretty even number of all the oils because I don't know what Nemetons I'm going to come across when I go out, and it's better to just keep a few of each type. And in terms of efficiency, I generally buy my swallow potions now. So I'm looking at making all the oils with my crafting, and I'm buying the swallow potions because you can buy 3 for 65 gold, which equates to about 22 gold each if you round up very marginally. I only need to really use one of them per Nemeton unless I do something terribly wrong and fail because I'm being distracted by something normally. And so for the spend of exactly 22 gold, you earn 100 gold. And as you can see, I've got quite a bit of gold again. Last time I purchased these, I waited until they were on sale and I bought an absolute ton of them. So if we go into my inventory now, you can see that I've still got 46 swallow potions. So at the moment, I'm only buying them when they're on sale because it saves an extra 10%. So we're all about being efficient here at Efficient Gaming and getting the best value for our money. So that is what I'm trying to do. Obviously, I used to buy a few when they were on sale before I increased my bag storage. Now that I've got the storage to do that, I buy 10 loads of them or 20 loads of them at once. And then I'll just wait till they're on sale again and then restock. So back to the shop. The other things that I am buying, or now that I've got all of my equipment, and I generally buy the swallow potions just so that I can keep them up with my Nemetons, the other items that I'm spending all the rest of my gold on are things to help craft. Now those things to help craft are inventory space and crafting stations. So when you start the game, you've got 200 inventory space. Now, I found that incredibly restrictive. So it was the hugest problem that I had. I would always forget to, even though I've told you guys to, and I keep trying to remind myself, and the game reminds you every time you go to a monster encounter, I would often forget to clear my bag space to make way for more premium ingredients and pick up things like the roots on the ground and things like that. So more bag space has made this a lot easier. So the two things that I'm now buying are crafting stations and bag space. So if we look in the shop, they're on the main page and they're down here, just in general items. So the basic crafting station, if you do the maths, works out to be 18 gold per use, whereas the reinforced crafting station works out to be 12 gold per use. Now, obviously, that's a lot more efficient. That's 33% saving on every single potion that you create. And I use these pretty much only to create baits, because if you look at the price of baits in the shop, the oils cost about 25 gold each. The Witcher potions cost anywhere from 22 gold each to, what's that? About 45-ish gold each for the more expensive potions, whereas the baits, they cost 170 gold each. So every time we make a bait inside our reinforced crafting station or inside our free one, we are saving between 170 gold and 148 gold. So I now make exclusively baits in here, although I've got quite a few baits at the moment because I haven't been out doing Nemetons recently. And I make all my Witcher oils in here. I literally just scroll down and see what I've got less of than everything else and craft that. So once I've crafted that, I'll go back in and we'll have a look and I'll show you. I've bought exactly one, no, back on the main page, one expanded crafting station for 1800 gold, and then everything else that I've spent my money on since I've got my armors and my swords, apart from the occasional purchasing of swallow potions to make the Nemetons easier, is spacious saddlebags. Now I've nearly got enough for another one of those, and that'll put me up to 1,000 bag space. I'll probably look at getting to a couple of thousand bag space before I consider buying anything else, and that's the stage where I'm at now. Unless I run out of my reinforced crafting station, then I'll buy another one of those. But honestly, I'm only making baits with those, and I've still got 100 uses left on the first one that I purchased, so I won't need one of those for a while. So that's my strategy. I do hope this information helped you to think about the decisions of what you might be buying in the shop, as well as letting you know that things are on sale often. There's no necessarily set schedule. We did think we found a pattern, and there was something posted up on the Witcher Monster Slayer wiki for a while, but quite soon after that it deviated from the pattern, and so there's no way of knowing what's going to be on sale next. You'll just have to check the app each day and see what's on sale if you want to save that extra 10%. Otherwise, just save up and buy the item when you're ready. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.